everybody, hope you're doing marvellously well. In today's episode, we're going to talk to a good old friend of mine, I suppose. Can I say that? That makes Pete sound old. Mr. Pete Mroz. And Pete, you just competed on the Voice, didn't you?
This is the Voice. Yes, I did. Man, you know, I'm 45 years old, and I never ever contemplated really like going on a singing competition television show. But it's such a rocket ship, you know, as far as getting to people, media. It's really hard. You know, man, it's really hard to get through the information highway on the internet to get to people. And it's not even that people don't want to listen to you. It's just there's so much out there that you can't get in front of them. And so The Voice was an opportunity for me to really get in front of millions of people. And what a rocket ship crazy world it was and ride, you know.
You had a relationship with Blake Shelton because you were in a band together. How long ago?
25 years ago, I was in this group called the Young Writers and in Nashville, Tennessee. And what it was is like 4 or 5 of us songwriters would get together and we would do rounds in Nashville, a songwriter round. And for those of people that don't know what that is, that's just like I play a song, Warren, you play a song, next gal plays a song, and then we repeat. We just go back through again and do the same thing again. And we got together as a group to really make those songs cohesive to present to people at the Bluebird, Douglas Corner, all the places in Nashville. And it really wasn't a band per se. It was like a writing group. You know, we just got together and presented our own individual songs to the people. You know, and so it was a little more polished than your average songwriter round, if you will.
Did you guys co-write?
No, we didn't.
25 years ago.
We didn't. You know, that was the kind of the crazy thing is that I had a particular person, a young lady that you'd met years ago. Her name was Robin English. She sang on the album that we did. She came out to LA. Robin was in the Young Writers also. So I always wrote with Robin. Blake always wrote with a young lady named Amber and Rachel in the group. And Blake and I just never wrote together. We always just played on stage together. So 25 years later, I go on the show. How about that? And there he is. No.
But so how did it happen? I've actually worked on a couple of these shows myself. I did a couple of seasons on X Factor, but I was on the production side recording tracks. So I have no understanding or knowledge of how people even get there. What did you do? Did you send in a demo and then you have to go and audition?
Yeah, so the way I got on The Voice was they reached out to me during the pandemic, right when things kind of hit during the pandemic. You know, production in LA and TV everywhere just shut down. So they were like, okay, how are we going to continue this show? So they couldn't do auditions around the country anymore. So they had to like ask people that they knew from the past to be a part of the show and to send in 3 songs. So literally it went like this. It was a Saturday afternoon. I got an email that I kind of thought was a spam email, you know, saying, hey, would you like to audition for The Voice? And I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. And I looked at my wife, Tony, and I said, look at this. You know, she's like, you think it's real? I was like, maybe. It did come from a particular person, but it still could be spam, you know. So I went up in my office and I recorded 3 songs. I turned on the little video camera and recorded 3 songs. And I swear to you, I was in and out of my office in maybe like 20 minutes. And I came back downstairs and Tony said, she goes, are you done? I was like, yep. I sent them off. So we'll see if it's real or not. And fast forward, you know, they call me back and say, hey, man, NBC executives really like you. They want you on the show, and they want you to come out here on this date for the blind auditions. And honestly, dude, I was like, what? Like, nah. Is someone punking me right now? What's going on? What's going on? But, man, it was a trip. And then we got out there, and there was like 87 contestants that were trying out for 40 spots. And, you know, we were out there for a month and a half, the first go round. And man, that, you have 2 kids. Can you imagine now being gone for a month and a half straight?
Yeah, unfortunately, I have experienced that many times, making albums longer, unfortunately. But,
Isn't it? It's tough. Isn't it so tough, man? I mean, thank God we've got FaceTime and Zoom calls and everything now to stay connected a bit more. But
So is it just you and your wife was home with the kids?
yeah, it was, man. She stayed home, and man, what a champion. What a warrior. Dude,
Yeah.
I mean, what was I doing? I was out like playing, super karaoke on steroids in front of a camera while she was back, she was back raising our boys.
So you're in LA, you're doing this for a month and a half, and this is, you say, the first time around. What was the second time around?
Yeah, so the way the show's set up, the first round is called the blind auditions. So there's 4 coaches that sit there with their backs towards you. You go up on stage, you sing your song, and you hope that one of those coaches turns their chair around. And then if more than one coach turns around, then you have to make a choice of who you're going to go with.
Okay, you know what I'm going to ask you, and what you've probably been asked in about 100 interviews is, did Blake know that you were going to be one of the contestants?
He did not know, and as I get up there and play, my blind audition song I played was Can't Find My Way Home by Blind Faith.
Beautiful song.
Yeah, man, and I'm so glad they let me sing that song, because it was something that I've played for my entire life. It's, you and I've discussed, I love Eric Clapton and Steve Winwood and all those guys, So I got up there, start playing the song, and John Legend turns around first. Well, I was so focused on the music, and I didn't even realize it was him. He turned around. I didn't even realize it. I just kept on playing. And then Blake turned around. I guess in my subconscious, I knew where Blake's position was on the stage. So when he turned around, I was thinking, I wonder if he knows it's me. I mean, it's been 25 years.
Sure.
I mean, I don't know if you remember anyone from 25 years ago that you haven't seen. I mean, you might see them today, and they could be right in front of your face, and they're like, "What's up, Warren?" And you're like, "What's your name?" So, anyway, the song finishes, and John says, "Hey, tell us a little bit about your story." I tell him, and I said, "Well, I used to go by a name Pete Mitchell." And Blake, you could see his whole disposition change from the classic Blake shtick on The Voice that he's kind of known for, and it was a real moment, he was like, oh my God, I was in a group with this guy 25 years ago. And then Kelly lets out the most epic, genuine laugh of like, are you telling me you don't remember who this guy is? And you were in a band with him, so it was really cool. And to reconnect with him like that after 25 years in that kind of grandioso way was really cool.
So wait there, you went by Pete Mitchell. Is that just because the Mroz was, people couldn't pronounce it or something?
That's right. You know it. So when I went to Nashville when I was 19, I had some music attorneys and managers say, hey, you're in the country market. People are not going to be able to say Mroz. You need to change it to something that's more identifiable and easier to say. And I'm a huge Top Gun fan. I love Top Gun. You know what I mean? So I didn't even realize this, but I said, well, how about I go by Pete Mitchell? and years later, someone said, hey, isn't that Tom Cruise's name in Top Gun? I was like, yeah, I guess it is. Maybe that's where I got it from in my subconscious,
So did he end up being your, what do they call him, mentor?
Coach. They call him coaches. Coaches. Yeah, so he became my coach. I picked Blake. And then we come home and, we're back home for a couple months. And then we go back out. And the next round is called the battle rounds. This is where you sing with somebody else in a duet format, but one of you is going to go home.
Oh, dear.
Oh, dear. Exactly. I battled against a young lady, a country artist named Savannah Chestnut, and phenomenal voice, just this real velvety country, classic country tone. She's from Kansas, and I thought it was such an interesting pairing that they put me with this soft-spoken country person, and we sang John Hyatt's Have a Little Faith in Me. Yeah, man. So
Oh,
What a beautiful song to sing, you know, that we got. Yeah. I think it is. I think it is. Yeah.
produced, I think, is that Nicolo production?
I'm not sure.
Keltner, although that song is obviously piano vocal.
Yeah, that's a piano vocal, and if you
Drenched in reverb.
drenched in reverb and drenched in his own timing, if you know what I'm saying, which is beautiful because, you know, when you get with the band out there, which let me just say, the band of The Voice is phenomenal. Those guys are just, I mean, what awesome. Paul Merkovich and his band, you know, I don't know if you've worked with those guys before, but they're just on point. Man, they are just so slick and on it. But they play on, you know, they play on the grid. You know, they're right on that little click track. So that song's John Hiatt's version's got so much emotion. Is it Bring the Family? Okay.
Yeah, those are the two albums, Bring the Family and Slow Turning. Anybody watching, this is just like a complete U-turn, but yeah, if you're not a John Hiatt fan yet, Slow Turning, Bring the Family, get those two albums, will change your life. Anyway, back to you.
Yes. No, but it was really interesting, Warren, to sing that song because I've loved that song for a long time, but now I had to sing it with someone that was going to sing really soft and country. And how do you make that song that's real soulful and you could really lay into that song? You know, I mean, you really could get into that. I mean, Joe Cocker did a version of it. I mean, there's so many different people that did. That's just epic, right? Well, so we did that song, and I was fortunate enough for Blake to pick me. And so then I move on to what they call the knockout rounds.
Yeah.
And I sang Louis Capaldi's Before You Go. And,
beautiful song.
And let me tell you something. I should have called you because the beginning of that song, the timing is so Scottish and so like it's a weird beat that did not make sense to this dummy American here. It wasn't just a, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, boom, come in. It was not like that at all. It was like this, a 1 and a 2 and a da, dee, da, and it totally wrecked my mind in the beginning part of that. But I made it through it, and I won the knockout round, and then I go into what they call the lives. So
that's amazing.
And then when you go into the lives, Warren, that's when it's live television and America votes. And I chose to sing Lawson and Navarro's song, We Belong, that Pat Benatar did.
Of course.
Yeah, but I didn't do it like her. I didn't do it like Pat Benatar. I did it like the original writers did. So I wanted to kind of pay homage to the songwriters, you know, and, you know, her version's great, but she changed some words, you know, and so I sang it like the old version. The original version.
So less kind of anthemic stadium, a bit more intimate?
Yeah, more singer-songwriter, love song, kind of like very emotional, you know, and it went over real well. And America voted me through, and then
incredible.
It's a trip. It's a crazy journey, dude. It's a weird. It's weird, but it's fun.
All right, I got to ask you silly fan questions.
Yes.
Do people recognize you now?
Yes, it's kind of interesting, and the funny thing is, people will come to me and go, "Dude, it's you." That's the funny thing. I hear that. I've heard that probably 30, 40 times. Dude, it's you. I'm like, yeah. And I just go, yes, it is. It's me. They're like, can I take a picture with you? I'm like, sure. It's not going to get you anything, but sure.
You should go, and it's you, and point to them.
I should. Yes, that's going to be what I'm going to say next.
My recollection of working on those shows is it's intense. When you're learning songs, it's like, it's only a few hours. There's quite often the contestants I was working with had never heard the song in their entire life, and they're just being thrown into the deep end. We would get like a list of approved songs, for instance, and we had to choose one that would work for them. But it's tough. It's a lot of work, and it has to come across as though you've been singing it your whole life. So what was the pressure like for that?
It was, the pressure was a lot. Now, I will tell you, all the way up into the last song I told you about, I felt like I had a lot of preparation time and, enough preparation time, if you will. But then when I got into this kind of last chance save song, exactly what you just said happened. They gave me a song that I didn't know. I just didn't know it, and it wasn't really in my wheelhouse, you know? I mean, if you look at this wall behind me, I got Paul McCartney, you know, I've got Robert Johnson, I'm not a modern country guy. So the natural kind of order of those lyrics and rhythmic patterns just aren't normal to me, you know? And I got up on stage, so dig this. So they're like jamming my in-ears down my cord, down my back. They're putting a lav mic on me. Some guy's handing me a microphone. I got a stage manager going, come on, like that. I'm like, whoa, like, hey, what's going on here? And then I get up on stage. There's my mark. I hear in my in-ears, on cue, 30 seconds. Here we go. Da, ba, ba. Okay, 2, 3, 4. Boom, ka. You say you'll be down in 5. I'm in, baby. Here we go. Let's go. And I didn't know the words. So
you just froze, just forgot.
No, I made stuff up on the fly. It's what we do as performers, right? If you don't know a lyric, you just make, who doesn't love the rhyme all, call, fall, say, day, okay?
How long did you have to learn the song?
Well, see, I thought I did have 2 weeks, but I didn't think I was going to have to sing the song. Because I just didn't, I wasn't being arrogant or presumptuous. I guess maybe I shouldn't say that. Maybe I was being presumptuous, but I just figured with that, since I got voted through by America, that Blake would have picked me for his team. So he didn't pick me as the pick. He let me go to the save song, and I didn't know the save song. So I ended up sounding like a dad singing like some song to their kid at graduation or something. And I care.
See, what's interesting on X Factor, the song, can't remember what they call it now, but the Save Me song that you're talking about is one of the performer's favorite songs. So they get to show themselves at their best. And if they're at their best, so they might be competing against somebody else, but at least everybody's showing their best song. So it's almost like the opposite.
Well, they gave me you had to pick like 5 songs, and I picked 5 songs, and that song that was on there, I put it on there because Dan and Shay were on the show, and I thought it would be obviously good business to have that song. I thought they'll never pick that because I'm not a country guy. Well, right. Well, they picked it.
Maybe that's how they see you. That's sort of part of their skill set, as it were, was to try and guide the people that they're mentoring. So maybe they see you more as a country artist. So I suppose, have you been leaning more country since the experience? Where do you feel like you're going now in your career?
It's interesting, since we've worked together in the 10 years, music and genres have changed a lot. So even like the project that we did 10 years ago, it could be considered country right now.
Yeah, definitely.
We could throw in a steel guitar on one song on the album. Next thing you know, we're country, baby.
Let's do it.
Come on.
I'll call Greg Leese, and you can come down and play on it. I'm down.
You've got the tracks. Pull them up.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's find one of the songs and put some Greg Leese on it. He's phenomenal.
So now I think of it like, am I country? I think I'm country, adult contemporary. It's, sure. Definitely without saying singer-songwriter, but what is that anymore today? Singer-songwriter is just, that's where it starts. The songs, it all starts with a song. So,
well, what's cool is obviously people watching, if they're produced like a Pro Academy members, will be very familiar with your song Back When We Were We.
Yeah, man. We wrote that. Yeah.
Yeah, we wrote that, but you had the bulk of the song, and the idea of the song, correct me if I'm wrong, is it's you imagining. I suppose it could be a more global, but initially you were telling me it was John and Paul.
You remembered.
From the Beatles getting back, of course I did.
Yes.
Getting back together and like hanging out and reminiscing about.
Yes.
And I think it comes from the Saturday Night Live idea, isn't it? Where there's I think it's supposed to have happened, but it's rumored to have happened that John and Paul are in New York at the time, hanging out together, when Lorne Michaels on Saturday Night Live offers them scale, which was like $40, to come down and reunite on Saturday Night Live. And Paul McCartney said that they contemplated
They
it.
contemplated it. That's right. I think that memory serves me right. Didn't Paul say he wanted to do it? And then John at the last minute kind of was like, kind of, but who knows? Paul wants to, I can't speak for Paul McCartney. I don't know. But yes, that was it. I can't believe you remembered that. That was the antithesis of starting the song was.
Yeah.
And you came up on that one. You came up with that brilliant bridge. I remember last September, back when we were. Yeah, man, that was great, buddy.
Yeah, I love that song. Yeah, that's beautiful. That whole album is absolutely beautiful. Yeah, so I'm excited to see what you do next, and I hope we get to do some of that together. That'd be great.
That would be
great
awesome.
Excuse to do some recording.
I don't live too far from you now.
Where are you?
I'm in Phoenix, Arizona.
So you're not in Nashville anymore?
No, so during the show,
Yeah.
we moved to Arizona. So my wife moved our sons across country while I was in the hotel.
So what's next? What are you going to do?
What's next? I'm going to record 3 songs. I'm just going to go back in and record a couple songs. And the bass player from Blake Shelton, and in the story, I said, "Hey, you stole my bass player." Well, he's his band leader. He wants to produce a couple tracks initially to give to Blake to try to help, the cause. And then after that, I'm going to do a Christmas album. I'm actually going to.
Nice.
Yeah, man. Over the years, I have heard this comment, if not once, 100 times, which has been weird to me personally. They're like, "Man, you should record a Christmas album." I'm like, I used to say like, what are you talking about, Christmas album? But, now I have kids and I get it. It's like, I totally get it, and I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I am going to make a Christmas album, and it's going to be marvelous.
Marvelous, yeah. I've done a couple of Christmas albums in my career, and I've covered "Happy Christmas War Is Over" with 3 different artists.
Have you really? Oh, wow.
Yep, I did it with The Fray, once with Daniel Powter, and once with Damien McGinty from Glee and Celtic Thunder.
Oh, very cool.
So covered that song 3 times.
Oh, now let me ask you: when you did it, how different were the arrangements between the 3 artists?
We went fairly similar. To be honest, I love the original production. It's one of my favorite sort of produced songs because you've got all the kids choir in there. The bass line on that is particularly amazing. It's sometimes thought to be Klaus Voormann, but Klaus Voormann was actually stuck in immigration and couldn't make it on time. One of my best friends, Jack Douglas, was one of the engineers on it. He told me Klaus didn't show up. And it's actually one of the guitar players, it could have been Hugh McCracken, I'm blanking on who it was, that ended up playing this incredible bass line. So I've always sort of stuck to that version because I think it's one of my favorite pieces of production, and the kids on it are phenomenal. And there's just a rawness to it. So I'm always trying to capture that, but you could do whatever. I mean, what's your vision on it? Or any of those songs?
My vision really is going to be very similar to like what we started. It starts with my voice and a guitar, and then it kind of goes from there. And, through the years now, I've been really enjoying singing with a piano and taking my guitar out of the equation and just standing on my, I've always said I'm married to my voice, and I've always had like some kind of weird sordid affair with a guitar,
Right.
which shouldn't be the case because I should just sing. That's where my talent lies, is in my singing, not my guitar playing as much. But I love playing guitar.
You're a great guitar player.
Well, I appreciate that. I can play live. I'm a good live guy, but I'm not a great on the grid in the studio session guy, so.
Right.
But I know that, and I'm okay with that. I'm
Right.
totally fine with laying that down when it's time to go in the studio. Hey, there's someone that's really good at doing this. Do it. You made a comment to me that was very nice when we made my album. You called me up. Remember, you got sick when I was tracking my vocals. You had gotten sick, and I went in and sang my vocals. And you called me that night after you had listened to some of it, and you said, "Man, just like Tim Pierce played brilliantly on those tracks, you sang brilliantly on it." So I appreciate that. That was my job, right, in the studio.
Yeah.
To sing. So.
Which song was it? I can't remember. Which song did you
I
sing?
think it's when we were tracking the day we tracked Crazy Maze.
Oh, okay.
And I was singing that one, because it's very intimate and quiet.
I'm going to go back and listen to that now, that track.
So
Absolutely
that's what's
amazing.
next. And then next year, this whole year will be all recordings. And then next year I'll have all new stuff I'll put out.
Well, let's do some recordings together.
I'll drive out to LA and spend some time with you out there. You're so quick. You're so damn quick in recording. I could probably be there for like a day and record 20 songs.
Might be a little bit of a push, but we have done albums in a day.
I remember when we were out there, I was like, and my thought process was like, we're done? Like that quick? Like we did it? Like you're like, yeah, we did it. We did it. I was like, oh my God.
We did in our defense, we did have the benefit of some of the best players in the world sitting in a room. So
we did. And to applaud you even more about it is that you sussed those songs out, and we did a lot of pre-production beforehand.
Yeah.
So we were ready. We weren't we weren't in there working on things. We were in there just, okay, we know what we're doing. Boom, let's go do it.
So you wanted to talk about how we met.
Yes, I do, because I think it's such a interesting, good, overcoming story, really, that we're still we're still talking and together. Like, you know what I mean? It's like we made it through.
Sure.
We made it through it. So I want to tell everyone a little bit about how I met you. And
please, do.
Man, I met you, Warren. What was it? It would be probably, I would say 12 years ago, even though the album was 10 years ago. I had someone that came to me and wanted to put me on their record label, and they were going to fund an album. And they said, hey, go find a producer. And I was looking at different producers, and they came to me and said, hey, I know this guy, Warren Hewitt, that did Brendan James. Is that his name? Brendan?
Yeah, Brendan James.
Brendan James album. I think you'll love him. Reach out to him and see if he'll work with you. And I did. And you listened to some songs and said, yeah, man, I'd love to work with you. And, we put a budget together. You put a budget together, sent it to that guy. And on the 25th hour, when it was time to record, it was like, hey, Pete, we got to kind of line things up for the studio and stuff. We got to make sure things are taken care of, So I called to ring the guy up. He doesn't answer. He doesn't answer. Finally, I call him from another person's phone because I really felt like he was dodging me. I was like, this is just not right. That was the first really big project I had done. So I was nervous too. And I was like, man, like I got to come through here. This is my reputation. And finally he answered the other person's phone. And I said, hey man, like I'm just calling, I need to make sure this is taken care of. We got to get the money over here to this, da, 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 da. And he's like, oh man, I don't have it. I'm like, you don't have it? Like, what do you mean you don't have it? And I mean, I told you way back then, but I'll tell you again, even today, it's very visceral to me. That moment was just like, oh.
But you know what, and I appreciate it, but you know what's the interesting thing is I completely and utterly don't remember that because we resolved it and that's all that matters.
Truth.
I don't even remember. I couldn't remember the guy's name. I don't remember any. So don't worry about it. It's interesting though. So it's a good lesson, in like, because I talk about this in the studio. I was talking to Steve Lillyway about this the other day. Stay tuned for that episode, everybody. And we just talked about that exact same thing. It's problems are only problems if you don't handle them.
Yeah, it's truth. Well, and look what happened. I went on, even though that happened, I went on and raised through Kickstarter money through the fans, and we made a brilliant album. So exactly. There it is, man. And then you remixed Land of Oz years later and made that sound wonderful. And hey man, I look forward to in the future working with you also.
I want to do your country record. So come on, let's do the country Christmas.
Country Warren.
Country Christmas. That's what I think.
What kind of microphones are you into these days, Warren? To help me kind of guide the way, because I'm using the Telefunken stuff these days.
Yeah, which is beautiful. I have an original U47, which I can see there, which looks like that, but Mine was made in 1953. I'm assuming that yours wasn't made in 1953.
It wasn't.
They look very similar.
I heard the Telefunken people told me that you probably would know even more, but the U-47 story was Neumann left Telefunken, and he had the distributorship in certain parts of the country or certain parts. So depending on what region you were in, you would either get a Telefunken or a Neumann, but they were the same microphone, the U-47.
Yeah, it was the same mic.
It was the same one. It was just based off of what distributorship region you had. Does that sound right?
Sort of. And to be honest, I am not an aficionado, but I do know at one point you are correct. It was basically the same mic with different labels on it. Yeah.
It's wonderful, though. That's what I sing into. A lot of people ask me, they'll ask me, being a vocalist, a singer, like, hey, what microphones do you use? And
well, on the album, we used my Neumann U48, which was the same mic I'd used on both the Frey albums. It's the mic on How to Save a Life. And it was also the mic, I don't know if by that time I'm losing years, but it was also the mic on Adele.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. So, she'd already recorded it then? Okay, yeah. So Someone Like You, and then we ended up using it on the last Aerosmith record. So Stephen tried to buy it from me, and I'm like, we're not selling.
Now that microphone, that's a explain to me, an omnidirectional one.
Exactly. Well, no, it has two polar patterns, where yours probably has cardioid and omni. A U48 has cardioid and figure of eight. So it was very popular. The Beatles used it because Paul would be on one side and John would be on the other. So that's the reason why they used the figure of eight one. I mean, we rarely used it in anything other than cardioid. And essentially it's the same microphone with the exception of the polar pattern. Now, I expect to get lots of people correcting me down below, but that's essentially the difference.
Hey,
and,
correct away. Just keep on commenting. Whatever you do, just comment.
Yeah, exactly. I'm fine. I have no desire to be an expert in pretty much anything. I'm just a guy like yourself who just loves music and is just all about it. And I'm happy to be wrong, and because I'm always learning.
Well, you've become since last talking to you 10 years ago like this. I was having that talk with Telefunken, and I told him I was going to come on your show. And I was talking to Alan Vintosh, I believe is his name. And he was like, oh, you're going to talk to Warren? I was like, well, and now keep in mind, Warren, I'm like, yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm going to talk to Warren. I mean it like, I'm going to talk to you. He's like, oh man, Warren's like, this guy, he's like raving about, like, you become like the Jedi master of the producing world.
Oh,
and I know you. I know you as just Warren. So
yeah, I'm still just Warren, just like you're just Pete. I think that I think if anything, I'm just what's the word? Like a ringmaster at my best. I might be able to bring in lots of great people like yourself and introduce them to more people. To me, it's all about community.
What kind of monitors you have back there? I'm just curious because I'm in the hunt for some good monitors.
I've got three different companies represented there. Focal, those are ridiculous. Those are the blow the band away, sound absolutely incredible. And that's the new 8351Bs, and they're like an upgrade from what I've been using for 30 years, 25 years. And then the ones in the middle are a new company, well, 2 or 3 years old, a new company called Kali, who make very affordable, good sounding monitors. So for me, I feel like a sense of responsibility to help people, by having this channel that we're on. Yeah. And so if something really stands out to me, I'll showcase it. There's a few companies I've showcased over the years that make really good products and look after people. And that's the big thing is like, do you know what it's like? You become a dad. Yeah. Your whole view of the world changes, and you start working with people that are good people with good products, have good morals, care about something, and you see it. You see it all over the place. True. And yeah.
What would you say is just off the top of your head, for a good little home studio, someone's using I use like a little Apollo Twin. I'm running into Logic.
That's great.
Running into Logic. I've got 2 Yamaha speakers and a subwoofer. Is there anything like a step up from that you would say to go to that doesn't break the bank, but yet still an investment?
A step up. I mean, Apollo. I mean, the UAD stuff is phenomenal.
Okay.
I mean, the step up would probably just to get more UAD because you've got the plugins, you've got amazing hardware. I mean, the converters on those are fantastic. I mean, for the inexpensive stuff, I have Audient, but they're a price point below that. But Audient are absolutely phenomenal in that price point. But for you, I mean, honestly, I mean, what else do you need to do? I mean, I mix so many records that people have cut a vocal on an Apollo, and it sounds amazing.
Cool. That's good to know.
I mix records with vocals that are done on Audience and Focusrites and RMEs and all kinds of inexpensive stuff.
I have a feeling that if I've got a U47 and an Apollo Twin, that I'm going to be all right.
You're going to be all right. Just don't clip it. Don't clip it, and you'll be fine.
Don't clip it.
Yeah.
Well, man, I appreciate you taking the time. And
I appreciate you, my friend. And congratulations on your success. I think it's rather wonderful.
Thank you. Let's see what happens next. What's next?
Thank you ever so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
You rock.
Thank you.
Anybody have any comments and questions, please put them below. Maybe we can twist Pete's arm to answer some. I'm sure there'll be some questions about the voice and all kinds of other fun things.
I'll definitely log on there and answer the questions. I actually enjoy listening to what people have to say and what they ask. I think it's a great way to communicate these days. That it's just a new way that we're communicating. So ask away.
Excellent. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you, buddy.
Please leave a bunch of comments and questions below and have a marvelous time. Talk to you all soon.